Well, good morning. Thank you everyone for joining me. My next coffee conversation is one of my favorites. So Marianne and I have been together for 6 years, longer, maybe 6. So this conversation is a little different only because Marianne and my relationship is a little bit more intimate in the sense that, first and foremost, let me say she's the founder of Project Gorgeous, which does so much. So I met Marianne when I had a miscarriage and my energy was low and something was off, and I had started to go to acupuncture. Someone had recommended her. I should send that person a car. I don't know who it was, but someone recommended her years ago, and she really helped me get some things straight. And obviously got pregnant again, it was a viable pregnancy, kept that pregnancy. And I was with Marianne my entire pregnancy. And I will give you that credit to say, I could poop, I could eat, I could sleep, I had minor heartburn, nothing, my nausea wasn't crazy. And whoever can help me and say F you to the screen, that is fine. But I give a lot of credit to you, and I also like to joke when I see you, that beautiful baby week, that pin, whatever that is, I think 3rd trimester. I mean, I got a cute kid. So
yes.
I got a cute
the beautiful
kid.
baby point. It's with a gold needle. It's between trimester changes. So yes. Yeah,
so
he
good.
is adorable.
And you very much became part of our family. I mean, you came to the baby shower and I've been with you. My son's now 6. So it is a deep relationship. I also like to say, if you come to Marianne for acupuncture, just be ready to go deep, because that woman makes you feel things and think things, and then she makes you sit with it for 20 minutes. So sometimes just be ready.
Down.
Just be ready. So anyway, that's a very long introduction that I normally don't do, but it is a very personal relationship with you. And so to say that, I mean, it was prenatal, you're a yoga instructor, you do acupuncture, skincare, you do coaching, you do your own podcast now. And I have to say, it's been fun for me seeing that journey for you. And I mean, it's really grown, and you've got a beautiful new space, obviously in the middle of the pandemic. But it's really fantastic. So that was really long-winded. I'm obviously a big fan of yours personally. So tell us, what do you do?
Oh, well, you made me teary-eyed already. It's like a journey that was like right before my eyes, right? And I'm so grateful to have been a part of, still a part of yours. So, and your family's so wonderful, from husband to Henry, Justin and Henry. They're just wonderful. So what do I do? Gosh, yes, you're right. There's so many hats there, right? I think as women, we all wear so many hats. And so I just love helping people fall in love with themselves. That's like my jam, and yeah. And whatever vehicle that is, if it is acupuncture, if it is having a conversation, if it is skincare, like working some stuff out and finding out what your pattern is and what's getting in your own way to stop you from seeing how powerful and amazing you are as a human being. I just feel like I'm the blessed guide to do that when people come to me. So
good. It's so good. So how did you get to this point? I mean, again, I've seen part of that journey, but what was that trigger? What was that catalyst to start, this whole process, this whole journey for you?
Yeah, well, so I am from the Midwest. I mean, my mother is Filipina. My father was, I call it a Heinz 57 Caucasian. So he was in the military, and he planted when he retired in the Midwest. And I just really crave diversity so much that, I did acquire a bachelor's in international business. I don't think I told you the story. I actually moved to New York as soon as I finished, because I got a full ride at Missouri State. And as soon as I could jump ship, it was like, I'm going to the Mecca of diversity. So I moved to New York, and so I moved to New York. I was there, trying to find my way in trade, logistics, international marketing, all of those things. And I moved in 2001, and in September, I was supposed to meet a friend at the World Trade Center, September 11th, and I overslept. So lucky me. I mean, there's so many people that weren't that fortunate, and I was the crazy person that stayed. My parents were like calling me, "Come back home," after the lines came back on, because the phone lines were down for a while. But I refused to stay. I was so committed to diversity and the newness and discovery, and just I wanted to experience different things than I had in the Midwest. And so that was the catalyst to, that experience. September 11th really was the pivot point for me to, I don't know if I'm going to be traveling internationally. I don't know if that's what I want to do anymore. And someone had shared with me, I was working in a restaurant, a fine dining restaurant, to, find my way. And she had shared, I think you would be great at acupuncture. And I was 23, never heard of it. And even though when I was a kid, I was the weirdo that did yoga and took brewer's yeast, all these things. Everybody else is, having fun going to McDonald's and the drive-through and all these things. And I'm just like, what's this about? So I always had that natural curiosity. But when she mentioned that, I picked up a book. It was called The Web That Has No Weaver. And I don't know if you're like this, Jill. I think a lot of people are actually very interested in knowing about themselves. This book had a quiz, and it had all these like different insights about the 5 elements and which element you are. And I was sold. It was art, philosophy, science, poetry, and medicine all in one.
The complete opposite of your degree.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And so I came back to Missouri for about a year to get things straight, and then applied for acupuncture school. So when I was 25, moved back, started, my schooling and education there, took a break halfway through to go to Hawaii for my holistic aesthetics education, and finished up in the city. And then I was 31 at the time. I knew at that point, I'm shifting into a new season. And so if I wanted to meet, a partner that I felt could really look after my best interests, not just struggle in an area where resources are so limited, that I might need to reconsider where I'm living. So I moved back to the Midwest and thought I was committing career suicide. I was a little jaded for about a year. I was mean to my now husband when he was introduced to me. But I've really understood the importance of bringing this medicine to the Midwest and giving people here an opportunity to have access to, what is so prevalent on the coasts.
I completely agree. And so from the acupuncture and then obviously into skincare, but I'm curious this journey into coaching. I mean, it's kind of everywhere right now, but I think it's the right time for things right now. And obviously I've had a coach, Rachel Randolph, that we've talked to before on Coffee Conversations, and everyone's bringing this, especially women, really amazing insight. Again, back to your thought of helping women kind of figure themselves out and be a guide and hold space for that journey. How'd you get into that space?
So I was practicing acupuncture for quite some time, but I want to say it was 2 years in before I moved to India, and then 3 years. So about 5 years. I was practicing acupuncture, and I realized a lot of people were telling me stories about some challenges, and there's always an emotional root to pain.
Right.
Even with an injury, there's always an emotional root to pain. And so hearing, the patterns also that come with the personalities and how we deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I know from a Chinese medical perspective, I really wanted to ask the perfect question that was just as succinct as an acupuncture needle. Because sometimes people will ask you a question and it will open up so much that, you start to realize, oh, and then your own answer and
Mm-hmm.
sharing that answer with someone and someone listening,
Yeah.
you get to hear yourself too. And so I started realizing how powerful that was for people. And also it was different than like me telling someone,
Yeah.
well, this is what you need to do versus them finding their own
Yeah.
way and me just stretching and expanding them out of their own bubble a little bit.
Yep.
So giving them perspective and, reframes and all of those things. So I started looking for a program. I found one, the transformational coaching method, which was great at asking, certain questions.
Mm-hmm.
And through the years, I've just found different, like the past, last year, I did a deep coaching certification, which it was not about asking questions. It was really about using silence as a tool, which is,
Yeah.
that's also a trip to just sit there and let people feel awkward in
Yeah.
that silence. And I have had some clients,
It's like my worst nightmare.
yeah, what's in that silence? I've had some clients that in my transition to coaching, they were like, this is too deep for me. I can't, and that is okay.
Yeah.
Totally okay. And then I've had some others that are like, I just want to talk, and that's not always typical with acupuncture practices. A lot of times people will have community style where
Mm-hmm.
they're treating, 6 people in an hour and just walking out of the room and letting people veg, which is
Yeah.
perfectly fine. I just want to give people space to talk to
Yeah.
move those emotions out, because it's energy in motion. You got to shift, you got to move, you got to process, you got to feel.
Yeah. Oh,
That's where the healing is.
that's so good. Oh, that's so good. I could literally listen to you talk about that forever. But I'll keep this moving. So what have you found, because we've kind of taken some time just because I want to hear that journey, but so I'll put these two together. What have you found lately that is, that struggle, that delight? Where's that high point? Have you had a low point? And I always like to preface that by saying, there doesn't have to be a low or a high, that whole like, don't hunt for something that's not there. But what comes up for you is that, that struggle or that delight of the season.
So through this whole process, one of the things I've realized, we always seek what we need to learn or we need to heal or we need to transform. And we, as teachers also teach that. And so what I've realized, through all of the modalities is, people just really want to be seen. And they want to have at the very bottom line, this experience of love, safety, and belonging.
Yeah.
And, for myself, even in Indy, I didn't claim that until I signed the lease in the space. I still, I would get surprised when people, oh, I love coming to see you. And I always feel so relaxed and I got this clarity and I got this relief and I got this trust in my body. And I would still be like, really? Like in my head, and I realized, like, oh, I want to be seen, but I wasn't seeing myself. And so when I started realizing you have to see yourself, everything else is a bonus, that's when I was like, okay, Project Gorgeous shingle going up, signing the 3-year lease, I mean, and I got to the point too, where it's like, 40% of my clients are male.
Yeah.
And it's funny whenever someone refers their friend and they're looking for the shingle. I'm looking for Project Gorgeous, and it's, a man in a suit, and it's like, do you know what you're getting into? Well, obviously you're okay with coming to a space called Project Gorgeous.
Well, I have to say, full disclosure too. I mean, my husband comes to you And he definitely comes for acupuncture. You have worked wonders on his shoulder. But I love that he doesn't, I know he feels better emotionally when he leaves you too. And we don't talk about it that, when he comes to see you, that is his time, that, that's his therapy, that is his moment to have some veg and for some, for some just in time too. But yeah, I mean, he's a firm believer, that it is not just Jillian's space. I think that's a really nice testament for you as well.
I love that.
It really is just a wonderful space. So how can the community, and granted, you are a small business owner, in the middle of the pandemic, still locked down. And you and I have talked about this too. Like, I want to make sure that when we come out on the other side of this, that there are businesses that I want to see in the world, right? And so how can the community, whether it is just business or it is personal, how can we show up for you?
Oh, I love that question. And, full disclosure, I binge watched your other episodes. So I know the format of the question. So I got a chance to really think this through. And just to tie it into the struggle of delight piece, the other part of the struggle was I didn't claim like, okay, I help these types of people, the person that's open, that is willing to invest in their own self-care as their wellness strategy, the person who is, willing to step up and say, I deserve to take care of my skin.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve to have that support while I'm pregnant. I deserve to spill my guts and know, I'll be zipped back up when I leave. And it's okay to be vulnerable, whether I'm a man or a woman. I can let out these things. I could cry. There's a lot of men that actually they're like, oh my gosh, I cried on our table. And I'm like, it's okay. You're not the first one.
Yeah.
You need to move that, so the delight now is I have claimed I'm not so much the person, send your person with fibromyalgia or, unless it's like, let's process emotionally, but like, if you want me to get to like, let's, do all the things to help you, you're 1 foot in the coffin, you waited till the last minute and I'm your last hope. I'm not the person to come to, and I kindly want to support everybody, but I used to say I did support everybody and I didn't end up helping the people that really, want the help.
Yeah.
So how people can show up is tell your people that are innovators, that are open, that, want to process and are having a lot of responsibility and need to release their stress.
Yeah.
Come in, or refer your friends, especially women that are pregnant. I was told when I was pregnant, I reached out to an acupuncturist and, not everybody believes it's okay to treat women during pregnancy.
Right.
So I didn't get that support. So I ended up needling myself, because I know like the power and I've seen the beautiful babies.
Yeah.
And I always say, calm mom, calm baby, so yeah, I hope that sounds clear who to send my way. I just want to help people that are open, willing to invest in themselves. And, I even have families now that have their daughters come in, that may be struggling with eating disorders, may be struggling with like the way they see themselves.
Yeah.
And gosh, I remember if I had someone, a coach, a guide to help me when I was 10 in that arena, just the way that I see myself would totally be different.
I love that. I very much see I love your coaching in the sense of you're giving people not just the tools, right? So there's, coaches that can help with business and coaches that, and everyone's doing a great thing. But what I love about you and what you're doing is it's not just telling someone to do the work, right? But it's really turning that mirror on how I view myself in order to show up for others, in order, I have to show up for me first. I have to look in the mirror and digest some things and sit with some things before I can show up for the world. And I think that's really, really beautiful and really powerful, especially for women. Not just right now, but all the time, but really right now. I think that's, incredibly powerful. So that said, it's my favorite question. Do you need a drink? How are you, leaving your trace in our community? How are you leaving that legacy?
Yes. A couple things. So, and I really wish I had it in hand, but I wrote a book, just came out, 28 Secrets to Glow Up. It's pink.
What?
I know 40% of my male clients, I'm still going to be like, hey, remember you talked about how you need to be drinking water like this, and all the tips. There's 28 tips in there.
So, oh my God, I love it.
So yeah, that is one of the ways I'm leaving my legacy. I dedicated it to my daughter, so she has a manual. And the last secret, I'll just leave a little cliffhanger. She was the inspiration. So kiss yourself is what it's called. So yeah, my legacy is I really want people to love who they see when they look in the mirror. And it sounds corny, it sounds cliche, but every time you judge someone else, you're judging yourself.
Yes.
Every time, there's that doubt or any kind of like outwardly expression of anything but love and safety and belonging, there's work to do. Yeah. And so holding that space, holding that container, holding that mirror, that's what we do on the podcast, which I'm so excited to have you on. Humanity Speaks. It's seeing yourself in the mirror and how starting here is what's going to create the change out there.
Oh, it's so good. I know I say it's so good like 100 times in every show. I need to lean into it. And maybe I'll have stickers made, but it's so good. And I'm so grateful for you and for what you're doing, and obviously our relationship, and not just in I got good skin, and a healthy child, and I still have work to do, but I'm glad that I have you, and I'm glad that you're part of that. So I'm so thankful for your time. Thank you so much for having coffee with me. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Do you have 1 minute? I want to share.
Yes.
I had an event called Haiku for You in February, and I know you couldn't make it, but I wrote you a haiku.
Oh my gosh. This is not being edited out. We're going with this.
Okay. So Jillian, and these were just the words, the descriptors that I wrote to help inspire me: powerful, supportive, connective, determined, innovative, and your season, spring. So here's the poem. A woman's woman, determined to change the game. Your heart is fire.
Oh my God, I totally want to cry. Thank you for writing that.
I originally had your drive, but it's your heart, Jillian.
Thank you.
What you're offering here in this platform for women. You show up for women.
Thank you
so much. And you have the most amazing guests. I feel honored. Your guests are also beautiful.
They are.
Wow.
All of them.
And a reflection of you. You are the magnet. You are the support. You are just woman's woman.
Makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Great mom.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So lovely to have time with you.